Hey guys, Craig Duran here with the Duran Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. The numbers are in for Breakfast Point November 2020. I'm laughing because I'm having technical difficulties again, sitting on my back patio, and I just did some of these updates for some of the condo market, and it took me so many takes. And so here I am on take two. You maybe not know that. We may not even get through this if the internet will cooperate. Anyway, we're going to do the market update a little bit different this month. Three sections. First section, I want to show you all that don't know about the e-alert system. I'm a huge fan of this. Just going to run through that with you very quickly for those of you who don't know about it. Then part two, we're going to talk about the overall housing market in Panama City Beach briefly, just going to give you some sense of what's happening in the overall market. So then when we get into part three, looking at Breakfast Point's market, we can compare that to the overall market and see how Breakfast Point's doing and talk about some pricing specifically in Breakfast Point. For those of you who aren't familiar with this is you're looking at a screenshot of our e-alert system I talked about. You're looking at it on laptop. It looks probably even better on mobile devices. This system, we can set this up, and we set it up by a search like you see up here. And right now we're looking at Breakfast Point under contract pendings and solds, and anything for sale. We can set this up any way you'd like to slice it. If you just want sold properties in Breakfast Point to see what pricing is, we can set you up that way. If you know someone who's looking to buy something, we could set you up or set them up so that they're instantly sent a notification anytime something comes up for sale or there's a price change. So for example, if they were looking in Breakfast Point, they could be set up on this system so that as soon as something hits the real estate website, it gets sent to you. This information is coming directly from our system. It's the most accurate system I've seen since I started selling real estate in 2003. You can see this. I'll give you a little example of the presentation. So, this will show you under contract, pending. This one is for sale still. And then probably the most appealing feature, I think, is that it'll give you the actual sold price and date. This is very, very accurate. Comes straight out of what's recorded in our system, not what your neighbor says they sold their house for. And again, you can click on each one of these individual listings and see all of the photos, all the descriptions. So if you're looking at trying to compare things, you can do all of that. If you're looking at things that are for sale, of course, you've got this little heart where you can save things and collect, kind of your own little shopping cart of homes or condos you're trying to compare. We can set this up a few different ways. For buyers that we're working with, we set them up for them to receive instant e-alerts so that the alert comes in as soon as something happens in the system, they're instantly notified. So if four homes came on the market or changed price that day, they would get 4 emails. If someone doesn't want it that much, we can batch it so it comes just once per day. So all of the activity comes, at the end of the day. For people who are just looking to keep track of the price of their property in the market for sellers or owners, what we're doing is maybe once every 2 weeks or once per month, we'll just batch all the activity for that time period and send you that information. Some people like just the solds so they can just see what the real pricing of the sold homes might look like. Some people want to see everything, under contracts and that kind of thing. Let me know if you're interested in that. It's very easy. There's no charge for this. There's no commitment. We're not looking for any commitment or anything. It's just something I really believe in is the most accurate information I've seen. And I think that helps everyone by giving accurate information about what's happening in the real estate market. So real quickly, let's look at the overall real estate market. Remember the beginning of the pandemic, we knew that we were going to see, let me explain. This is a chart for those of you who don't know. This comes from a company called ShowingTime. ShowingTime is a system that real estate agents and brokers use to schedule showing appointments. And so we knew early on in the pandemic that the orange line is 2020. We knew early on that we were going to see a steep decline in showings, but we wanted to watch that to see when we would bottom out, which would give us an idea of at least maybe this is as bad as it's going to get. And then we also wanted to see when things would turn around and when people would start showing signs of getting out and looking at property again, because then we could assess, maybe the market's picking up. Maybe we'll start to see new contracts. And of course, that leads to closings. By mid-May, we were already showing as much real estate in 2020 as we did in 2019. I think a lot of us were surprised by that. And if you follow this, the orange line, we've pretty much shown property just like we did last year. In fact, we outperformed 2019 for a lot of this. So the next thing we wanted to track and understand would be, okay, people are getting out of their houses and looking at real estate, but are they just looky-loos? Are they tired of being, cooped up inside? Or are they actually getting out and making offers and writing contracts? So we started tracking the number of new contracts week by week to compare 2020 to 2019 and see what kind of activity was happening. So for November, this is just a continuation of what we've seen going on. New contracts written in November, 44% more new contracts written that week than the same week in 2019. Check this out. 118% more new contracts written the next week. 290% more new contracts written the third week of November versus 2019. And finally, 25% more the last week. And I'll give you a little visual on this. Look at this blue line. The zero line, again, would be even, same amount of contracts in the same week. And considering everything that's going on in the world, look at how the blue lines just hovered dramatically over. And again, this is 100%. It doesn't look that dramatic here. Of course, some of these huge moves make it kind of skew the perspective. But, you wouldn't be surprised to see if we were showing about the same amount of real estate that we would be selling the same amount of real estate. But we're not. It's dramatic. This is how dramatic of a market we're in. One other thing we wanted to compare, the number of new contracts being written versus the number of new homes coming up for sale. Because if we're looking at supply and demand, it's another way to kind of look at what's going on in the market. Remember last month, we were sort of concerned that the supply, the red line, the number of new homes coming up for sale, was tracking up and almost catching up to the demand, and wondering if it was going to stay there and overtake it. Well, look what happened pretty quickly. The demand said, oh, wow, look at all these new homes for sale. And people just wrote a ton of contracts. So the market's still very healthy, still very active. When you look at the overall market in general, remember the months of inventory number. For those of you who don't know, well, let me back up. In this chart, remember the red line represents the number of homes for sale. The black line represents the number of closings. And the most important thing to take away from this is this months of inventory number. Remember, months of inventory in real estate has traditionally, 5 or 6 months of inventory has traditionally represented a neutral market, meaning the buyer or seller didn't have a huge advantage. Theoretically, it would take the reason we get to this number is theoretically it would take a home 5 or 6 months to sell. It would take us 30 days to run magazine ads and newspaper ads back in the day. 3 months or so for that to get out in the market. People look at it, negotiate a contract, in 30 or 45 days to close. That would be normal for house sales. So 5 or 6 months of inventory was established. Anything less than 5 or 6 months of inventory means that things are selling faster. There's more demand. Maybe there are less homes for sale, very much seller's market like you hear about. The longer we're in seller's market, the more you hear about strong sales prices, multiple offer situations, maybe appreciation if we stay there long enough. So look at the months of inventory number here. This is looking at the entire market. A couple things to notice. We've cooled off a touch from June, July, August, from 2 months of inventory, which is scalding hot, to 3.5 months. So the market's trending a little softer, but it's still in seller market territory. It's worth watching because trends in real estate, can take some time. So if over the next few months we went to 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, and we kept going, that's a sign of the market slowing down. And at some point when the market slows down enough, prices have to pull back. But for now, we're still seller market territory very much across the market. We look at Breakfast Point specifically, it's crazy hot. Last 3 months, look at this, 0.44 months of inventory, 0.80 months of inventory. Things are selling that fast. This data is a touch skewed because of how the new construction sales are reported, but I can tell you it's still representative of a very hot market. 5 sales to go through from November. Most of these are in the new section. 3-bedroom over on Ward Creek, $349,900. We helped the sellers here sell on Johnson Bayou for $448,000. It was a 4-bedroom house with a pool. Another one on Basin Bayou, 4 bedrooms, sold for $445,970. Another one for $427,510, and another resale, 3-bedroom resale for $467. Again, very, very hot market. The one when I was showing you the e-alert system, that home we were working on with the pool sold in our coming soon phase, which means it hadn't even hit the market yet. And we got such a strong offer that the sellers said, yeah, we've got to take it. So anyway, quick overview for you guys. Be safe. Have a happy holiday season. We'll be back at the very beginning of January to give you kind of an overview of what happened in 2019 or 2020, I'm sorry, and look forward to 2021 and see what we expect for the spring market. You guys stay safe. Be well. Thanks.